Yes, the Black Madonna. Interesting you bring this up because I've been thinking about this a lot myself lately. As you know, I spend a lot of time in the Italian part of the world. I'm very fascinated by that culture, and I have a lot of friends there. And it's a, it's probably a good place to uncover archetypes. Now, the Black Madonna thing. Well, there's a village in Sicily called Tindari, and I believe it was originally a classical Greek settlement from about the 4th century BC, and it was based on a Dionysian cult. In fact, the classical elements of Sicily is very based on Dionysian uh, archetype ish veneration. And the Black Madonna is rumored to have been a figurine that was kept by Christians in Constantinople that was being brought out of the city after it fell, and the ship was wrecked off the coast of Tindari in Sicily, and the Black Madonna was washed up on the shore, or was either put there by sailors and in a local abbey for protection. The abbey liked the statue so much, and the local Italians venerated it so much, then saw power in it so much, while Sicilians, that they wanted to keep it, and then the cult of the Black Madonna was born. Now, in religious sense, nobody really knows what it means. Some people say it was a Coptic Christian archive archaeological piece that survived the sacking of Constantinople. But she's not brown skinned. She's very black, and the Egyptian. If you look at the Egyptian and Coptic iconography, their Christ and their Madonnas and everything are all light skinned. So I don't believe it's that. And it's also, well, I'll tell you. Let's talk about I think it is. It's Cali. Now, I don't mean it's literally Cali, but there's a phrase associated with her called "My tongue is made of sand," meaning her tongue is powerful and it can lash out. And you think of Cali, you think of that thing, but that's why the tongue sticks out. Is because the female can be vicious when she's angered, and that's but also the Catholic Church, because it's Abrahamic, the early Catholic Church, the Christians, the Second Temple rabbinical Jewish iconoclasts who first came to Rome and got power through Constantine the Great. Them, like all Abrahamics, they all have the same attitude towards women. Women are an unnecessary evil that spews out blood that you have to tolerate for procreation. And this Black Madonna would not have fit in with this. So the Catholic Church knew there was a missing pagan female archetype, so they basically gave you the Virgin Mary as a kind of a weird substitute. Now, the reason why the Black Madonna cult took hold in Italy and in various parts of the Mediterranean was because it unleashed an archetypal memory of the dark female. Now, when I say the dark female, I don't mean like the deadly or dangerous dark female, because remember, Kali isn't. Kali is a loving divine mother, Kali Ma. It's the same thing. See her as the counterpoint to Lucifer. Lucifer, Sol Invictus, the dark sun, that shines the light of truth on everything. Well, the Invictus part of it would be the feminine, which would be the Black Madonna. And the Black Madonna represents the same thing Lucifer does. Lucifer represents the absolute truth of everyday life in its purest sense by blasting a path ahead with honesty and directness. Whereas the Black Madonna, she represents the purity of truth through things like silence, through sitting back and saying nothing and letting things be honest for themselves. And between the both, you have the kind of the yin and the yang, the balance. You have the bright of Lucifer, the utter blackness of the Black Madonna, or whatever the female, the dark female. Remember, never noticed that? The Morrigan is a blackbird, well, a corvid raven. The Morrigan, the Valkyrie, they're always black. The female part is black, not to represent evil, because it's a counterbalance to the male, which is white, light. And, a man's sperm is white. Remember that. And a lot of it comes from things basically as simple as that. The sun is the sun is a male, the moon is a female, Selene. Black, she's the nighttime, the daytime. And I think what happened with that Black Madonna was, it doesn't really matter what she represents. She triggered an archetypal memory within the Sicilians and the Southern Europeans of a time of paganism and even proto-paganism, of the Kali type archetype. And that's why her veneration and cult is it's so moving almost. There's you get a genuine, you think Marian cults have a sense of affection for the Madonna, the Virgin Mary, but you want to see the affection that's put out. And it's like Santa Muerte in Latin America as well. You want to see, and it's Kali. And when you walk into a Hindu temple, often the first shrine you come to is Kali, and she's often most venerated and loved. And there she is there with her tongue sticking out, and in her full fury killing demons. And you find the same thing with the Black Madonna in Italy. And Southern Europe, there's a genuine, real affection there for the archetype. There's a card in the Tarot, the High Priestess, and it's very similar. I think that's also the same archetype. The woman's intuition, once she's not been destroyed by some kind of neurotic disorder or something, but the purity of that. You think at the point where a mother's about to give birth to a baby, she's in absolute agony, but it's the agony is the generation of a new life, and this is not catered for within Christianity. And the Black Madonna represents a lot of those things, the pain of that, and you get a lot of that in Sicilian folk magic as well. You have that this kind of the mother's veneration for the sun. It's extremely deep, and it's the mother and the son in Sicilian, say, rural. Well, I don't know. I guess it's even in Palermo and Syracuse. You'd still get it. The mother and the son. There's a connection there. That's like, it's totally spiritual, and the Black Madonna holds a little black boy, and that he represents the mother archetype in its purest form, encapsulated within the child, the boy child. And that's what the Black Madonna is. It's a mysterious statue that's just arrived. We don't know how it got there. There's the story of the shipwreck following Constantinople. Could be bullshit. We just don't know. There's a few other stories like that. But I think the cult of the Black Madonna absolutely has to do with 100% the need for a counterpoint to Lucifer, the ma invictus almost, in European society, triggering a racial, cultural, and archetypal memory of a Kali type archetype within the European soul, and its connection to the strength of motherhood, the purity of motherhood, the pain of motherhood, which you see, you see the Virgin, you see the Catholic Church did an awful thing when they claimed that she was the Virgin Mary. You understand? It's almost like she didn't have sex when she had Jesus, but we never hear about her birth. The birth of Jesus is more to do with men bringing gifts and animals. She's basically an afterthought, and even Joseph is like a cook, cookhold to this space fairy called Jehovah. And there's huge missing aspects within the Abrahamic thing towards the veneration of the female, and they only get token veneration. But when this statue of the Black Madonna showed up, it changed everything. And it really is a powerful symbol. So that's what the Black Madonna is. Basically, it's liberating, people who live under Abrahamic religions from the misogynistic notion of a patriarchal God only. Very interesting too.